what we're seeing, and you can see live, actually, our test bench results, it's about 6x faster than the current state of the art. 6.
That's wild.
Yes. That's what a little math will do for you.
Okay, we are back with our live coverage of TOKEN2049 in Singapore. This is the Bitcoin.com news live desk powered by Threshold Networks. I am your host, David, and I am with Muriel Medard. She is a professor in the EECS department of MIT. EECS, I'm guessing, is Electrical Engineering Computer Science.
Yes,
right?
you guessed correctly.
Yeah. And holding the NEC chair in software science and engineering. NEC, what does that mean, ma'am?
It's actually a Japanese company that very generously donated a chair. It's actually a School of Engineering wide chair.
Very, very cool. Muriel's interests include network coding, reliable communications, information theory, security, and reliability in networks. That should give you a hint why she's on the stream at a blockchain conference. She's involved in Optimum, a project incubated at MIT that aims to build a decentralized high-performance memory layer for blockchains. Welcome to the live stream.
Thank you, David. Thanks for having me.
Yes. I can't wait to get into this conversation and look like a fool. Here we go. Before we get to that, can you please tell me a little bit about your background? What path took you to what you're doing today?
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I have been on the faculty at MIT for a long time, over 20 years. I did all my degrees there. They had a lot of trouble getting rid of me, or I had a lot of trouble, finding the door. And I've been working in the area of decentralized coding, where coding is creating equations from data and using those equations to make data more efficient in terms of representation, more reliable to attacks, errors, delays. And so I've been working in decentralized coding now for really 2 decades. And I've had incredibly good luck and good, career path in academia. So there you go. Usually you get to be a chair. You get to have a really prestigious chair at MIT, and it's kind of time to kick back and maybe not take it easy, but feel smug. I didn't do that. I realize that the time right now in Web3 for the kinds of solutions we have been working on in the lab now for years and years was now. And so I took the jump, and here I am.
Approximately when did you take the jump?
It's been a little over a year now.
2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
So, end of 23, I think at the end of 23 is when I, decided, along with one of my co-founders, Kishore Kanwar, who had been my postdoc and who had worked with me in Skunkworks for a dozen years on this, even after not being my postdoc anymore. I realized this was the time. So
very, very nice. I'm curious, at what point did you become aware of crypto? I'm assuming it was well before you got into the industry. So
I did. So I was aware of it. I think being at MIT to a large extent, you hear a lot of stuff going on. I remember probably one of the first times when I was really enthusiastic was, when people stopped doing, Bitcoin mining in sort of just their homes. I got to just buy so many GPUs for the lab really cheaply to do some of the computation. So I was like, great, I can use that's lightly used. This is great.
That sounds like it was probably one of the bear cycles that happened, like 2018 or 2022.
It's great for research, though. I got some great deals.
I'm glad you're I'm glad our pain was your was your profit.
Good use for research
Absolutely.
and,
Nice.
general knowledge. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna take a step back. I just wanted to ask you about this decentralized coding a little more.
Yeah.
And maybe can you give me like an example use case of what this means? You said you worked on this for a couple of decades.
Yeah. So different stages of the technology. That's correct.
Right. And what can this be used for?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So suppose that, here we are, there's people all around, and we wanted to communicate in a decentralized way. It's a pretty daunting affair, right? And so maybe I start to tell you something, which is actually very similar to, for instance, what happens in Ethereum with block propagation. Maybe I'm a node and I start telling all the nodes, and eventually you want like 2/3 of the people in here to know. Question: how long is it going to take? Right?
Yes.
And you can only talk to one person at a time. You can't just stand up there and yell and have everybody listen and hear you at once.
Especially if everyone's doing that. Right?
Especially if not everyone's doing that, especially with this music going on.
With this lovely electronic music.
That's right. So basically, what would happen is you would have to have kind of a balance between, you need to talk to enough people that, the message actually propagates. But if too many people talk to too many people, you get a lot of repeats. And the reason repeats are a problem is, you have bandwidth. Imagine that bandwidth is basically, you can only talk to one person at a time. And it turns out if you're, talking to one person at a time and too many people talking to too many people, you're going to end up with a lot of repeats.
Yeah.
And those repeats are really, really bad as time goes on. Very quickly they sort of swamp the network. So
It's kind of exponential, I guess.
Yes, very good. It's actually even worse than exponential.
Okay.
So if you're mathematically minded, it's not even e to the x.
Yeah.
It's the x is between 0 and 1, and it's x over 1 minus x.
Okay.
Plot that at home. But you will see it actually goes to infinity like that.
Wow.
Exactly. Very good. So now, if instead you start sending equations around. So imagine I have 5 unknowns. Let's call them x1 through x5.
Okay.
And I need to figure it out. I just need 5 unknowns. I need 5 equations. So now everybody's getting equations and then making equations out of the equations that you get.
Okay.
And then mixing them together. It turns out, hence the name, it's optimum to do that. Like, it's as good as if you had like a controller that was scheduling everybody, directing everybody, seeing everybody that goes on. So that's what we do.
And so these equations that get exchanged, the information that can be embedded in the equation, is it arbitrary or is it?
Absolutely. Because you're just solving equations. Like, as you just need as many equations as you have on nodes, right? I can tell you x, I can tell you y, or I can tell you x plus y and x minus y, and you can figure it out.
Oh my God, it's way above my pay grade. Okay, so you started working on this a couple decades ago.
Yeah.
Now, I imagine at some point you became aware of Bitcoin and other crypto projects. Did you look at that, these consensus mechanisms, and be like, oh, that's cute?
So, interestingly enough, I became interested in consensus mechanisms at the start of the 2010s.
Okay.
About 14, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And one of my colleagues at MIT, who actually held the chair that I was given later, the MSc Chair of Software Science and Engineering, is Nancy Lynch. Now, many of our viewers right now may know things like the FLP theorem or the CAP theorem, which was then sort of recast as the trilemma. So the L is Nancy Lynch.
Oh, okay.
So she and I, had been teaching, sharing bars of very dark chocolate, doing very boring meetings of the faculty. And we said, if you really understood consensus the way, her work is really some of the foundational work. Again, you can go look at the original Tendermint paper, and it basically says,
so cool.
Yeah, it is actually implementing her algorithm.
That is awesome.
So if you really understood consensus and you really understood coding, what would you have done?
Yeah.
And that's really what got us excited. And that's how we actually hired Kishori, my co-founder. Now, just to give you an idea, Kishori was on Wall Street making a lot of money. And she goes, "Oh, that's great." I'm like, there's no way. It's like, the guy's going to like tinker what? Like a, 30x account, and then he came. So I didn't want to point out to him, I was like, maybe he misread it. He thinks it's an extra zero or something. And I didn't ask him at the time because I didn't want him to change his mind. But, later I was like, sure, with like, seriously, with him. And he said I was only going to get one chance in a lifetime to work with, he said 2 walking encyclopedias. So I'm not sure everybody wants to work with even one walking encyclopedia, but that's a separate matter.
What's an encyclopedia? The Zoomer said.
Exactly. It's like Wikipedia.
No, okay. Very, very cool. Okay. All right. So let's get into Optimum. What is Optimum?
Yeah.
In 5-year-old language, or maybe dog-like language, and then why did you decide to spin it out of the academic work that you were doing?
So let's look at your computer right now.
Okay.
So your computer has things on it. So you have an application open, web browser.
Yep.
You have a CPU in there. You have an operating system. You have a bus that's actually carrying the data around, and you have memory.
Yeah.
So if you look at Web3 blockchain today, you have apps, dApps.
Yeah.
Right?
That would be the applications on my screen.
Exactly. You have an operating system, maybe EVM, SVM, whatever you want, VM.
Yeah.
And then you have some amorphous, gelatinous, thing.
Innards. Yeah.
Which, you have things like a mempool. Do you have a mempool in your computer?
I have sticks of RAM, I guess, but
Yeah, you have RAM. You don't have the mempool's a bit like, it's like the equivalent of your laundry basket.
yeah. But also then you have like private pools as well next to mempools and things.
So anyway, it's really messy, right? And you have the bus. Remember that I was talking about gossiping here? The bus is this really complicated system where you're trying not to repeat too much and so on. So our point was that part, the memory, and the memory includes the ephemeral memory, which is the bus, just like I need to transport this now, and the long-term memory and the random access memory. All of that, to make it decentralized, you need coding. You could do it without coding, but the cost and the delay would be, phenomenal. So to the point that you would never do it, which is why people are not doing it now. So that's what we do. And that relies, again, and, I encourage people to go to getoptimum.xyz. Look at our research papers. You will find them illuminating, or at very least great for sleepless nights. And you can see a lot of the research we did that. So we really have been working on this for years. And without coding, without an efficient representation of the data, you're really just shooting yourself in the foot.
So, would you say, though, that all blockchains right now are basically kind of primitive? Because, is that
perspective, yes. Not from other perspective.
Okay.
Look at EVMs, for instance. They're amazing things. They're amazing. But, the idea that you have something like your operating system, say an EVM.
Yeah.
Having to worry about the bus. Imagine if you were like, no, I can't have Linux because my bus or my memory is X, Y, or Z. You'd be like, no, that's ridiculous. What you really need is a modular system where you have specs, requirements, and then you just have an API. So that's what we're doing. The memory, which includes, again, propagation, which is ephemeral memory, all the way to RAM, which is read-write, and read-only memory, which is basically the ledger, where you just add but never retrieve, never remove.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So Optimum is basically almost like an infrastructure project.
It is an infrastructure project. It's a decentralized infrastructure project.
Decentralized in what way?
Completely decentralized. There's no centralized controller. It's the decentralized coding that I mentioned before, which is actually powering the entire thing.
And so Optimum is a network then?
Optimum is a network, and the network is formed out of what we call flex nodes. And flex nodes are doing this coding that I talked about, this random coding, and each node is acting individually. And this is the really weird thing, that an individual, decentralized, state-free operation is provably as good as a completely centralized system. That's hard to get your head around.
Very hard.
But it's true. And again, you can see actually one of my former students, PhD students, Bernard Hoffler, who then went to become a CS professor at Carnegie Mellon.
Yeah.
You know, he showed this. He showed what's called the optimum pipelining
Yeah.
approach. The results. And
Yeah.
it shows that basically, even though it's completely decentralized and it's totally clueless, it's as good as if you had full information.
Really?
Yeah, mind blown.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. Are there any like YouTube videos on this that I could?
So yes, I do. I do post Max every so often, little YouTube videos, and again, you know, it starts all the way from the very basics of coding to all of the different things we do. So I post at my board. I have a really messy whiteboard, which is like actually a huge wall, and
MIT professors.
no kidding, right? So I take a little corner of my board, I clean a little corner, and I go to the board. So please, yeah, if you want to watch them, I'd love to get feedback from
Yeah.
those.
So I'm definitely gonna do some more research after get off this live stream. But let's just say for the time being, I understand kind of under the hood stuff, which is what I'm really interested in. I love this kind of stuff. How does this plug in or work with blockchain?
Yeah,
As we know.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good question. So what we do is we take a permissionless sidecar approach. So people don't have to change anything around their EVM or so on. So our first go-to-market has been with validators.
Okay.
And the reason why we go into validators is, you know, they see the gain in APY. They're like the front line
Yeah.
of performance.
Right.
They, if you give them better performance, they can translate it into profit. So at this point, we started with just Ethereum validators, and we have onboarded about 20% of this. The TVL is about 20% of the Ethereum stake currently. And
Why do the validators? So what's the pitch that you say to the validators?
the pitch is really short. I remember my first pitch. It took about 5 minutes because you explain to them that it goes faster. I'm like, yeah, I can make money with that. Just give it to me. I remember it's like, no, just Muriel. So
So the pitch is it goes faster and you make more money.
yeah,
That's basically it.
yeah, that pitch.
Okay.
Even I can give that pitch.
I mean, it's an easy pitch, but obviously backing it up and making sure that it's
So we're on we're on Hoodie testnet, which is the Ethereum testnet. Again, please go to our website, look at some of our recent results. What we're seeing, and you can see live, actually our testnet results. It's about 6x faster than the current state of the art. 6.
That's wild.
Yes, that's what a little math will do for you.
A little crazy math that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, no, I'm sure. Okay, so you're going after the validators first because I'm guessing the pitch is quite simple and
Yeah.
they're like discrete like businesses, so you can go after them very
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So as I said, at this point we have about a fifth of the stake, and but if you're a validator, please sign up. We actually have thousands of people have already signed up who want. When we go wider, we started with the larger ones. But I'll give you a little vignette.
Yeah.
I was at East Boston. I'm in the bathroom washing my hands. Somebody comes up to me and goes, "You're Vera?" I'm like, "Yes." Like, "We've been trying to get onto your test net." I'm like, "Okay, you got it." So
That's awesome.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
After validators, what else would you be?
Yeah, so we have also signed up now with block builders, because that's another entity that can actually use, the speed and translate it into profits. So we have signed up with a Titan, which makes, builds about half the blocks on Ethereum. And for BNB chain, we have signed up with BlockRaiser.
Okay. Wow. All right. So, tell me how this is connected to the random linear network coding, this RLNC exactly. I still don't quite understand how this is used in Optimum.
So our first product is called Optimum P2P, or Mom P2P. Actually, we were talking about kids before, right before starting this. I'm Optimum. I'm sure my kids would disagree, but they're not here, so I'm just gonna.
That's a mom joke for those people out there.
Yeah, worse than dad jokes.
Yeah.
And basically that does the propagation.
Okay.
The propagation, whether it be a blocks for validators, or if you're a block builder, you're getting basically all the information that you need to build the most valuable blocks possible. And that's where we come in. And that's where the under the hood powering comes from the math in RLNC.
Okay. So I still don't understand. So this is basically like, is it just EVM, or could it be applied to any operating system?
Completely, yeah. Which is why, as I mentioned, we started with Ethereum, but actually we're going to other chains, including, BlockRaiser does BNB.
Yeah. And so basically all they have to do is they put in like an API call to you, or how does that, how do they integrate?
So that's what the block builders or validators, the nodes do. And we're permissionless, so we don't have to integrate with the L1.
Wow.
Well, in the same way that, say you have Linux, you don't integrate your Linux with your bus and RAM.
No, absolutely not.
Why should you?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. It should be modular.
Yeah. What's the business model? How do you guys make money?
So, first of all, the good news is there's money to be made because there's profit. So let's start with that. Otherwise,
Nice.
We share the profits with whatever we give people as a benefit. We share. But our value longer term is actually going to be our mom token.
Okay.
And I remember I was talking about these flex nodes. By the way, a flex node is not like a validator.
Okay.
Flex node is just like a computer.
Okay.
And you need half a CPU to run this.
Okay.
Half a CPU, that's it.
Anyone can run this?
Anyone can run this. And actually, we've been doing our first set of hackathons so that people learn how to set up a flex node.
Yeah.
So anybody can do this. And now, remember, all we're doing is in a decentralized way, sending equations around. So now what we've created a latency marketplace where nodes are sending equations to each other.
Gossiping
equations, and basically I'm a validator. I go, hey guys, hit me with equations. I'm willing to pay this much. Nodes give each other equations, pay each other in mom. And basically they're paying each other because you give me an equation which I need or I can sell to somebody else.
My God. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then,
Yeah.
sending equations around, it's like an actual marketplace.
Yeah. Between nodes. And
nodes, exactly.
So so for example, these validators or block builders, are they also running nodes as well? Or
So they're also flex nodes,
Yeah.
but most flex nodes are not going to be validators,
Right.
block builders,
Yeah.
to be really potent machines, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is anybody can run its flex because it can be small, it can be large.
Yeah.
It's power.
Yes.
It's strong. Yeah.
Yeah. I cannot wait to report this. So how many rounds of gossip are done?
So basically, it's you can tune it depending on whether you worry about when everybody got it.
Yeah.
Or when some fraction got it,
Yeah.
right? It's a pool basis. So you
Okay.
basically, I get, give me equations, and then at some point I go, I've got enough,
Okay.
or I'm not interested in that anymore because I, moved on to other things.
Too much time has passed. Okay. All right. And so is this RL and C stuff, is this synonymous with kind of blockchain memory, or are there other implementations of this? Is this just you and your company's implementation of this?
So, if you don't use what we do, you have, Lit-P2B, which has been in the news recently because the issues around funding it and so on. A lot of projects rely on that. So what we've done is we've taken Lit-P2P and we've modified it with coding. I don't know of any real DRAM. It's just so hard to do without coding. It's so hard.
Really?
Why? Yeah.
Why? Is this going to be too complicated of an answer?
It's just because we're managing, who said what to whom. And, I'm going to get a little historical. So in the 80s, there was an algorithm called Atiya-Bar and Barnoy and Dollop, the ABD algorithm, that showed that you could do decentralized read-write, but with like one writer or whatever, and it was considered to be mind-blowing, which it is mind-blowing. It's an amazing feat. But it took so freaking long, that literally
the computation took so long.
The exchanges,
okay.
The number of exchanges, the number of rounds.
So the number of rounds of DOS. Okay.
Basically, yeah. And then it was improved later, actually, by Nancy, who we just mentioned. She's actually also an advisor to our to our project. And it was called the Rambo algorithm. Rambo 1 and Rambo 2, I kid you not.
Rambo, First Blood.
First Blood, Rambo, first algorithm. But even that, so there's some really, really recondite, not very well-known systems out there that can implement something like that. But
practically speaking,
no, with very few nodes and a huge overhead. So the idea here is, and I remember that was what we started working with Nancy about a dozen years ago. It's like, okay, if you actually did coding, you should not have to do this crazy high overhead checking. So that's why.
I see.
It's not that you couldn't do it, but you just wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah. All right. So, just in like broad terms, kind of what are like performance metrics that you're targeting?
So I mentioned what we're already doing on Hoodie, which is 6x.
Yeah.
And, to give you an idea, Hoodie, of course, is a shared testnet. So you have to behave yourself. You can't do anything really, really rude. But on our own testnet, we can do horrible things. In particular, we can really ingest it very badly.
Okay.
Which is basically what happens as you go higher and higher TPS. Right? And then, so at this point, basically, the bottleneck is no longer the compute.
Okay.
Or the bottleneck is really
the bus, the bandwidth,
the bandwidth. Exactly. So basically, what we can do there is we see even bigger gaps. So remember, as you were saying, exponential, and it's at X.
Yeah.
Right. So basically, you start going down that really dangerous slope, and we stay flat.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because, you have to go up a dangerous slope, but somewhere, outside the building.
So how many TPS are we talking about then?
So what we do is we haven't pushed it all the way to the millibit, so I don't know, but it's about, we were able to manage about 10 to 20x more than what people do currently.
On Ethereum.
On something that mimics Ethereum, because remember, I can't get on Hoodie and do this. Yeah. People will come to my house and beat me up.
So this would be something like Ethereum mainnet? Or
exactly. Yeah, it would be like what people would do in Ethereum mainnet. So
20x that.
Yeah.
Just by kind of slotting in.
Exactly. Just on the just in terms of throughput, you should be able to get about that much. So that's on our own testnet, which is not a hoodie, which is completely private, so that we can, as I said, do things that you can't do in a shared space.
That's awesome. Does this technology introduce new attack vectors, weak points?
That's a great question. So we actually have a very very paranoid Byzantine approach. I would say even more paranoid than what's out there right now in Gossip Sub. Again, for people who are interested, you can see all of our papers on Byzantine gossip management.
I love all this stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Giving me homework. Oh, I love it. I love this stuff.
There's no test. Yeah.
I'm going to test myself.
That's right. But, you can go and actually have a whole section on just that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So the same coding that allows you to be more efficient is actually an amazing hash. So basically, that's the underlying approach.
Okay.
You're using the coding also as a verification hash.
I see.
Just at a high level.
Right. I was thinking, though, the fact that these validators, for example, are block builders, it feels like that they maybe exist in two different worlds, right? So they're building blocks or validating the chain, and then they're also participating as like a flex node. Is there any issue around that? No.
Because anybody can run, compared to everything they're doing, running have their CPU on them. I mean, they have to get data,
Okay.
And they have in and out, right? So you can't make money just by talking to yourself.
Tell that to some of the streamers, some of the Zoomer streamers I've seen. I don't know how they make money, but they're making a lot more than me. All right, good. Thank you. Sorry. You've been very, very kind. I have one more question for you on this incredibly difficult thing. Do you have a long-term plan in terms of an ecosystem you're focusing on, or is it just you'll come and be a part of any ecosystem that is willing and able? Put another way is are you more aligned with Ethereum or Solana, or is it more like just everybody coming?
Everybody,
Yeah.
we're completely neutral, and one of our buy phrases is scale any chain. In the same way that if people are building buses in memory, they build it for everybody.
Yeah.
You need specs. You need to be good enough to run, whatever a system needs. But you're just trying to make a full basketball, and that's it.
Absolutely. Well, I would love to speak with you again. And this would be my test. Honestly, I'm serious.
Wow.
I would look through some of the stuff that you've mentioned, and then I would try to articulate it in my own way, and then have you be like, "No, D-." Let me get it.
Never do that. Thank you. I would love that. Yeah.
All right, but thank you so much, and I appreciate the time. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we really enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah.